Let's take a look back at the weekend, the games that were. Let's get into our debrief of the weekend. Super Rugby with your event available at Chemist Warehouse now. JK, look, we talked about it at length last week, and it's one of those games where everyone talks about it. There's all this hype, and it lived up to it, and it doesn't always.
Oh, 2004, people. It's a long way. Look, Bill Beaumont said last year that when our game is played in the right spirit, I believe when you've got a positive referee, it is a great game. And it was that the other night. The Crusaders were outstanding. The Blues were very, very good, but they were positive. Christina, they were positive. Everyone was positive, had everything, drama. And the Blues won.
OK, well, we don't have to keep saying that, but because you don't want to, you know, as a Crusaders aren't going to waste a win on a pool game, they'll just win in the final. That'll be fine. But when you look at the intensity, players and coaches all talked about having test match intensity at times, and as fans watching it, you could see that, JK.
Yeah, and from the first whistle, it was just intense, Joey.
Oh, the intent from both teams, wasn't it? Like, it had everything. Brutality. You talk about the drama, but the brutality in this game was, the hits were just savage, and that's what they were talking about, alluding to in terms of the test match-like intensity. The brutality of the contacts was just huge, but the speed in which this game was played at, Christina, it was brilliant. It had everything, razzle-dazzle, like teams were showing intent from their own halves, which we hadn't seen, because I thought it might be a bit of a bash fest. These two forward packs rolling their sleeves up and going, yeah, we're going to go dong-dong, but they were throwing it round. It was awesome, just a great spectacle.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great spectacle. I think the discipline, Blues were able to handle that from their end, and obviously on the other side we had the Crusaders with a couple of cards there, and actually it was entertaining rugby, and you had the players that we expected to have play informed rugby did so, the likes of Beauden Barrett and Papa Lee. How good was he in the weekend?
Unbelievable.
He was absolutely superb.
To win, you've got to have your key players standing up under pressure. And if one thing the Crusaders have shown us over the years, it has been that. And I think that was the difference. I mean, Rieko Ioane's tackle, Beauden Barrett, I thought was outstanding. And you need that to win those games. I mean, there is a reason why we haven't won down there since 2004. It's because the Crusaders are so good. And, you know, like you said, I'm a bit disappointed because they'll be stinging from that.
Do you think that's the influence of Leon, right? So him taking that Crusader mindset of they did a Crusaders to the Crusaders in many respects. Like, normally you see the Crusaders that 10 minutes before half-time, that 10 minutes after, that's when they dominate teams and they just strangle them.
I'm pretty sure Leon was born in Auckland. He's just coming back.
He is Marlborough.
He's now paying out.
Don't ever claim that.
I think we'll have to look into that.
Remember that. He is Marlborough.
Paying out.
Marlborough.
Look, I think...
We've got
to claim that. He is Marlborough, please.
Please.
I think you need to... I mean, I said I've got a bit of a bromance with the man because he's done what a lot of us couldn't do, including me. But, you know, you have to start talking about him with Razor as the future of the All Black coaching staff. I mean, he has done pretty much, like I said, what a lot of us haven't been able to do. He's created a really strong team. I mean, the defence against the Chiefs the week before is how they set up this, because we saw them on attack, because that's the film that I wanted. You know, the defence was outstanding at times, getting off their own line, really making big hits. Offa Tunganafasi, I'm going to cut his head open just week before, because I thought he can't be playing with 48 stitches in his nog. He was outstanding. It's the first time I've actually seen him going into contact. I love that. Look at that. Go, Rieko, you
But the
good
excitement
thing.
in the box, right, Leon?
Yeah.
That was the most...
Yeah, but that moment, you know, that moment.
Huge.
And I want to talk about Rieko because people say, oh, he's a bit quiet. But actually what he's done is he is playing as a sound defensive centre. He's improved that. They've asked him to improve. And he does one or two great things a game. And that was a key moment. I thought he was in for all money in the corner. And they got across. Him and Dalton Popoli were outstanding.
One of the players we talked about was former Crusader Luke Romano, and you saw how much it meant to him in the final moment when that whistle blew. Winning breeds winning, right? So he's come from a winning culture to a team that's not winning as much, and now all of a sudden they're winning again and they're learning how to win.
Underbelly, when in those moments, those big moments in games, generally they found a way to lose games, not win games. With the belief that he's brought into that team, he has transformed that. He's transformed mindsets, and that young Blues forward pack, they are so young, but they have invested in these guys. They've invested in them a few years ago. They've spent the cash on some big-name players, Beauden Barrett, namely Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and probably Luke Romano, somehow getting him out of a Crusader stronghold. They don't give up their players easily, especially an experienced campaigner like that. He has done wonders to that forward pack, and without a doubt, a really, really key signing, and it can't be understated, his influence on that team.
Absolutely not. But Christina, how do you think the Blues now take this and carry on that momentum, keep winning?
Oh, it's about that consistency to perform, right? They've got Fiji, Drua going into the Super round, and no doubt they'll bring that level of physicality. And for Blues to be consistent, for Blues to perform at the back end, they need consistency, and I think that's going to be the key moving forward.
It was you that said we had a soft underbelly, Joey. Don't blame anyone else, mate.
I know. I said it to you in that pre-game.
But when you think about,
it's been questioned.
No, you've got a good point. You've got a good point. But I think it's a really From what I heard, this is voce di corridoio, so we don't know if it's whispers in the corridor. That Luke wasn't picked up by the Crusaders, and he still wanted to keep playing, so he was disappointed. The Blues reached out through Leon because they probably know each other really well. But when you look at that forward pack, they're young. Dalton Popoali'i is 23. Hoskins Satutu is 22, They are a young pack.
And
so he has brought a bit of
confidence. You've got to give Leon some credit for that. The foresight, though, to invest in those young guys, it took some hurt for a few years to get them to this point, but now they're starting to recognise the benefits of investing in some young talent a few years ago, developing them, giving a guy like Dalton some leadership, and we've seen the growth in his game through the ability to lead this team. His game's gone to a whole nother level. And you can't understate the influence of Leon on that young group. And I suppose, just the responsibility they're taking and the care that they have for, this sort of stuff. 5 guys getting back to save a try. You wouldn't have seen that. And we talked about this in the green room earlier, didn't we, JK? That a few years ago, Rieko Ioane probably wouldn't have even attempted to get out and make that tackle, if we're being brutally honest. But, man, the change of mindset in those guys is just impressive, and they are a real threat. Genuine titled contenders. If you go down to Christchurch and put on a display like that, unbelievable.
Dalton didn't miss a tackle all night. Is that something that you take into the changing room and go, fellas, if you want to look at the numbers, it looks pretty good. Christina, what do you reckon? Oh,
he's phenomenal. I think he's outstanding the form that season. You talked about Rieko saving that tackle, but who was in that picture? It was also Dalton. He set up a try, he scored a try. Just his efforts around the paddock, you talked about his leadership. He's certainly in form, and to be that young and to be leading a side like the Blues, I mean, the future's bright for them.
It is hugely bright. So let's take a look at the table, and you'll see that. Okay, it was tough for me. The Crusaders tucked in at 4 there, and the Blues, JK, they look all right. I've worn my blue for you today.
Freeze your screen at home.
Take a photo. We don't know how long this will last. Take a photo.
It's on my desktop. It's on my desktop already. That's there. Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating for me because I just don't know where our Aussie cousins stand. So when I look at the Brumbies and the Reds, and no disrespect to you over there, I just don't know the comparison. So I don't know what the next month looks like, and that's what makes it exciting.
Joey, your team will just be itching to get over to Australia, I imagine. The Highlanders, they're quite far down there. Is that the second page, is it? Oh, no.
Look, this egg is going to turn into a big egg, okay?
Small egg, small numbers.
Highlanders fans, trust me,